With a new season of football already underway, what better time to put out your boldest predictions than the here and now? As we know, football social media is a place where you either get the absolute most dog shit takes that you'll ever hear in your life, or the takes that will age like a fine wine throughout the season. And with my upcoming predictions, I hope I joined the latter in that case. I have 10 bold predictions for this upcoming season, and I'm very confident that I'm going to go 10 for 10. Seriously. There's no way I could fail.
Oh shit, here we go again.
But before we get to any of those bold predictions, I've noticed that 99% of you are not subscribed to the channel, so please like, comment, subscribe. It would mean the world to me. This is obviously a small channel, so honestly every interaction matters, and I'm trying to build something very special here. Just take a little bit of your time to do those little things, because in the long run, they add up. But without any further ado, let's get to those predictions. Starting off bold here, I don't think PSG is going to win Liga this year. I think it's going to be Marseille. Well, first of all, let's look at PSG. PSG have gotten significantly weaker, and yes, they've added some transfers, mostly young players, and they still have arguably the best starting lineup in France. Vitinha's a star, Marquinhos has been a known quantity. Luis Enrique is a trouble-winning coach. But there's one thing that we must remember, have lost arguably the GOAT of the French league, Mbappe. And Mbappe alone in the league was responsible for 27 goals and 10 assists. At the moment of this recording, PSG haven't signed anyone who is at the caliber of Mbappe. But why am I saying Marseille is the one to take advantage of PSG's slip? For starters, Marseille brought in one of the best young coaches in football, Roberto De Zerbi. Now, it is well known that Roberto De Zerbi has, let's just say, generous defensive structure. Generous in meaning he likes to share the goals with the other team. This is also a coach who has played some beautiful football at both Shakhtar, Sassuolo, and then Brighton, taking them even to Europe. Now he's given a Marseille team that, yes, lose Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, the top goal scorer last season, but replace him with Mason Greenwood, with Wehi, the striker from RC Lens. Two players that are known for goals. And in an easier league, let's be honest, this Marseille team, they may be deplorables, but they know how to score goals and they know how to create chances. Don't look up what they're accused of, especially their attacking front three. Out of all the teams, they're the best equipped to take care of a PSG slip-up. Bold prediction number 2. Spurs are going to win a trophy before Harry Kane. Now, hear me out. I actually think both of them are going to do something crazy this year. But let's start with Spurs. Spurs are in season 2 of the Postecoglou era, and we all saw their first season last season. That started off really well, but tapered off in that second half. But now they've brought in the likes of Dominic Solanke, already adding to the likes of Heung-min Son, of Kuvalevski, players that you could build around, and not to mention a defense with Cuti Romero, with Mickey van de Ven, with Porro, with Destiny Udogie. This is a team that is poised to take the next step. I think they're going to win a trophy this season, and the Carabao Cup is going to be the trophy. And since the Carabao Cup is usually in February, they're going to win a trophy before anyone else, including Harry Kane. And it's also worth mentioning, I think they're going to do very well in the league, and they're going to finish 4th this season. And that leads perfectly into my third big prediction for this upcoming season. Harry Kane is going to win the Golden Boot, but he's also going to win his first trophy. After such a miraculous season last year by Bayer Leverkusen, in the law of averages, I think they're going to come back to earth this year. But coming back to earth for Bayer Leverkusen, a team that was spectacular last year, means that they're going to be in a tightly contested title race. I think Bayern are going to keep it close, and they're going to barely edge out Leverkusen to win the Bundesliga title. And not to mention, Harry Kane is going to score boatloads of goals. I think he surpasses last year's record. He's finally going to get his hands on a trophy, even if Spurs beat him to it. And the footballing world will finally give him the praise he deserves for the legend that he is. Prediction number 4. Real Madrid do it again. Everyone is predicting this Real Madrid team to win every single trophy in sight, but they're not going to win every single trophy. Even though they've had an absolutely horrid start to the season, they're going to win La Liga because Barcelona are still rebuilding and they're just not strong enough to compete. They might keep it close, but they're not going to beat Real Madrid. Same with Atletico. Strong team, but not good enough to beat Real Madrid over a long season. And even with the new Champions League format, I think only Manchester City and maybe, to a stretch, Arsenal and Bayern Munich are going to compete with Real Madrid. It's really between City and Madrid got stronger and City kind of stagnated. And Mbappe, huge season. Again, not really a bold take, as they're the favorites for everything, but maybe the bold take here to take away is that they're not winning the treble. They're going to win the more important trophies. But who's going to take away that third trophy from Real Madrid? I think it's going to be Valencia.
What?
Now, Valencia, if you guys haven't been keeping up, Valencia's been a team that is a giant in Spanish football, but have been run to the ground by Peter Lim and his terrible ownership. However, with a group of very young players and having to bring in players on frees and loans, such as Rafa Mir coming in this season, I think this team is poised to make a run at a European spot in La Liga. With the young team that's been developing under Ruben Barajas, this is a team that's going to make 6th place in La Liga. And on top of that, their Europa League is going to be solidified by a deep cup run, which culminates in a win for Valencia, which is huge for the club. Moving on to the Premier League, Manchester City are going to win the Premier League, but this is the last season of the dynasty as we know it. Manchester City have been possibly the best team we have ever seen in English league history. They're going to win their 5th straight title this year. They may compete for the Champions League and they may win it again. Who knows? I don't think they will, but it's very possible that they might. But this is going to be the last season of Manchester City as we've known it for the last 5 to 10 years. Those 115 charges are finally going to catch up to them, and I don't think they're going to be stripped of any trophies because I just don't think that's fair to the players that won those trophies. But I think they're going to be hit with a massive multi-year transfer ban, potentially a relegation, and definitely a ban from Europe for at least 2 to 3 years. This will mean that players like De Bruyne, perhaps Rodrygo, Ederson are going to be out the door. Haaland may also be out the door, but I don't think he will. Now, the big one is Pep Guardiola. What's going to happen with him? I think he leaves, and this is the last season of Pep. If you're a fan of any other Premier League team, you want this dynasty to end. You just want a new winner. And perhaps we get that with Arsenal this season. But I really think City just have enough juice to just pull out one more win. But man, those sanctions are going to hit hard after this season. So, one more year of City dominance, but after that, it's over. With prediction number 7, I think Julian Alvarez is going to be a flop his first season at Atletico. Here's the thing. This is a player who's going to cost 95 million. A player who's worth 95 million should be getting you 30 plus goals and 10 assists. Julian Alvarez is just not that type of player. Yes, he's going to be playing in a strike partnership, so maybe his assist numbers goes up. But this is not a guy who's been the most clinical finisher in the world. And Atletico, for the millionth year in a row, are just not going to win anything. Prediction number 8. I think Juventus is going to win Serie A. Juve is a team that's been under rebuild for about a year now, under new management. But adding in Thiago Motta, who made a miracle of Bologna last season by taking them to the Champions League spots, is now given the resources at Juventus. Sure, they may not have gotten their transfer targets like Calafiori this season, but even with missing certain targets, they've still been able to sign stellar players like Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa, Cooper Mainers from Atalanta, amongst many others. And are going to have to sell Chiesa, as he's not part of Thiago Motta's plan. And not to mention, they're still competing against an Inter team that have been one of Europe's elite for the last 2 to 3 years now. And yes, Inter are overwhelmingly the league favorites. However, I have a lot of stock in this Juve rebuild, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it. They're going to win Serie A this season. For my next bold prediction, I think this is the year Alexander Isak finally becomes world class, and he's going to lead Newcastle to a trophy. As we've seen for many years now, even in his Real Sociedad days, we've seen that Alexander Isak has been a player of high potential, a very technical dribbler and a clinical finisher. There's just a few things that have let him down. His injury record. Because when he's healthy, he's honestly one of the best strikers in the world. A player that borders on world class. Not to mention, if we're just looking at the eye test, he's just such a joy to watch. But this is the season where he finally takes that next step. He goes from the player with potential to the player that he was always meant to be. I think this is a season where he finally hits 25 plus goals, and Newcastle are going to win a trophy as a result of it. I think this is the year Newcastle are going to win the FA Cup, breaking their long 60 plus year trophy drought, thanks to Alexander Isak. He may not win the Golden Boot because in the Premier League, unless Haaland gets severely injured, no one's beating him for that Golden Boot. But I still think he's going to finish second, which is a great achievement. And Newcastle are going to be beneficiaries of such a spectacular season. And finally, my last prediction. This is Rodrygo's last season at Real Madrid. And on top of that, he's going to be Arsenal's left winger next season. Sure, this is a prediction that's going to be a year ahead of time. But I think Rodrygo's going to see the writing on the wall that, yes, he's a phenomenal player, arguably world class. He's going to put up phenomenal numbers. But he's been playing out of position for how many years now? And even as a Real Madrid fan, it kind of pains me to see that we're holding this guy back. And he is going to come to terms with it. And he's going to leave. I say 110 million to Arsenal. And he's Arsenal's new star player with Saka leading the line. And maybe in 2026, we'll be looking at an Arsenal Premier League winner with Rodrygo and Saka leading the way. But maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here. So what is your bold prediction for this upcoming year? Do you guys have any crazy takes? Let me know down in the comments. I don't care how vanilla they are, or I don't care how crazy they are. I want you guys to tell me in the comments what you think is going to happen in this season, because this season has some potential for some madness. So thanks again, guys. Thank you for watching. Again, like, comment, and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. And check out this video. I don't know. It's going to be somewhere over here. Check out some of my previous work. Catch you guys later. And thank you again, TFB family.